Hey guys, this is Derek Latz again. I am still here in Jerusalem, and I wanted to give you guys a quick update on how my last 2 weeks have been. I have been having an incredible blast. I'm studying crazy hard, but in the meantime, I've been able to go to a few sites and locations that have been very meaningful, and I wanted to share with you guys a few of those places. One place that I've been really looking forward to going and seeing, and that I've heard so much about, is Hezekiah's tunnel. Now, to give you sort of a background of this place, this is a tunnel that King Hezekiah built in the Old Testament to create a water source within the city walls so that they could hold out longer during a siege. So this tunnel is hewn out of solid rock. You can see the chisel marks on the walls where they picked away and dug this. They dug it from both ends, and amazingly, although it's hundreds of meters long, they were able, deep within this mountain, to reach up with each other. And along the way, they had gone through twists and turns and right angles and all this way, just so a channel of water could be brought within the city walls. So about a week ago, I had the incredible privilege of visiting this site with a bunch of my friends here studying Hebrew with me. And it was a wonderful experience. We went right in between a bunch of Jewish children who had been on a field trip who were walking through this, and we came out the other side, and it was so wonderful. It opens up into this pool that's very similar to the pool of Siloam there. Kids were swimming in it, they were loving it, and it was an incredible experience. So this last weekend, I went on what has been the highlight of this trip so far. We went on an incredible trip up north to Galilee, seeing the place where Jesus spent most of his ministry here on earth. We took a bus north a few miles from the coast towards Galilee, and on the way we took several stops. First of all, we stopped on Mount Carmel, and this was a fascinating experience to see the view and the location where Elijah called down fire from heaven to prove that God was the Almighty God. The view was stunning, absolutely stunning. You could see the coast as well as you could see deep into Israel's territory. It was a view to behold, absolutely. Next, we traveled north, and after an hour and a half or so, we arrived in Nazareth. First of all, we stopped at an archaeological site in Nazareth that they had converted into a old-fashioned town that we could go through and see people in biblical times attire, threshing wheat and working with old-fashioned carpentry tools and weaving. And then we also got to see a perfect replica, or at least a close replica, of a synagogue, very much like one Jesus would have spent time in. After the tour of the location, we had an authentic meal prepared for us, and we ate there as a group, surrounding a table full of lentil soup, pita bread, and hummus. After lunch, we traveled from the synagogue where Jesus would have preached his first sermon, all the way to the mountaintop where he was almost thrown off. In the Bible, it feels like such a fast thing. They took him out of the synagogue and they took him to the top of the hill and they were going to throw Jesus off that hill. But in reality, it's actually more like a half an hour walk to the top of that hill. And it is quite the hill with beautiful views and quite the drop off. After the day's activities that evening, we traveled north to Tiberias. Tiberias is a city that was around in the time of Jesus, and back then it was a much larger city than what Jesus spent most of his time in. Nowadays it's controlled mostly by the Islamic people here, and Ramadan just finished and there's celebrations across the Muslim world. And so all night people will be going out on these massive boats with lights flashing and loud music, celebrating the conclusion of Ramadan. So the peaceful meditative experience I was hoping on the Sea of Galilee wasn't quite there in Tiberias. At the same time, it's a beautiful city, wonderful people, absolutely wonderful people. That Sabbath we spent time in Nazareth, back there at an Adventist church. On Sunday morning we began our journey home, but first of all we spent quite a bit of time in other parts around the Sea of Galilee. We took a boat out onto the Sea of Galilee and we spent quite a bit of time out there. It was beautiful. Next, we journeyed to Capernaum. This is the city where Jesus spent much of his time during his ministry. It's Peter's house is there. Actually, archaeologically, they've identified the house that they believe to be Peter's house, and it was beautiful to see that. We went to see the mountain where Jesus gave the Sermon on the Mount, and actually, it's a very large hill on the edge of the Sea of Galilee where you can look out across and see the distant shore and the water lapping against the seashore all the way around, and it's a beautiful sight, quite dry, but yet plenty of space where Jesus could have preached and where he could be very audible acoustically speaking to his people. It was wonderful sitting there imagining, Jesus walking along the shore, or Peter fishing, Jesus pushing his boat out. It was beautiful thinking about, on this spot, Jesus might have walked. Here, Jesus might have gotten in a boat and pushed out of the way so he could speak to the people on the shore. After lunch, we spent quite a bit of time swimming in the water, and the Sea of Galilee, it's this perfect warm temperature. It's not disgustingly warm, but yet it's very refreshing, and yet it's not a shock when you get in. It was very fun, very, very silty water, very, very, lots of dirt in it, but clean nonetheless. So we are here outside of Capernaum in the Sea of Galilee, and the wind has just picked up. What's up, bro? The storm is coming! You guys can see some...
Don't worry, I'll bring the light.
After drying off, we got back in the bus and headed back south again to Jerusalem. This time we took the route along the Jordan River. We drove past the location where Saul died and where the walls of Jericho fell. And finally, we came back to Jerusalem. So I'm here in Jerusalem for another 2 weeks roughly. And in that time, I hope to finish up my course here and explore quite a few more locations. So that's where I'm at this point. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like and subscribe. It'll keep you updated on where I'm headed this next year. So I'm really excited about this year, and I hope each of you will keep me in your thoughts and prayers, and that I will have a safe, wonderful journey. Thanks for watching.